KIRO Radio News. Tell your smart speaker to play KIRO Radio here for what's next.
It's a horrible time for law enforcement in our area, and I know all around the country. They honor their fallen. As you know, Officer Lexi Harris, who we've just heard incredible things about, was stopping to help an accident on I-5. On her way home from work, was struck and killed on I-5. And I've got a couple other stories I want to talk with Mike Solan about. He's the president of the Seattle Police Officers Guild. Joins us live here on the Dori Monson Show. Mike, I appreciate you coming on with me.
Good afternoon, Dori. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm sorry for all of your loss. And I know the public feels this very deeply, but I know those who wear the badge, that they really are affected by this. Yeah,
I mean, she was special. She really was. That's not an overused cliche term. She really embodied how special of a human being she was. And she's been a cop for 5 years. I've recently got to know her the past 2 years. And, man, I really can't put words to describe how good she was, just as a human.
So when you say special, give me some ideas of what just made her stand out like that.
I never saw her angry. In fact, I just heard a story today when she was on the protest lines, when we were just getting hit with so much vitriol, getting assaulted. And she never had anything bad to say about the people that were protesting or rioting. That's even when in the presence of the council members who were just saying the worst things that you could imagine at the police officers. She was just a consummate pro. And she really was our Wonder Woman. She was really well versed in martial arts, and she just had a kind heart, and she just was able to read the situations, and she was just the ultimate public servant. Yeah. I can't even describe it more. That's how just epic she was.
No, you gave us a pretty good idea there, and I'm glad to hear all about her. On another issue, Mike, 6 Seattle police officers are being investigated right now because they went to a political rally in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. 2 posted pictures on social media, 4 self-reported, and they're being investigated now, as I understand it. And, man, I'm telling you, Mike, this sounds like a witch hunt to me, that OPA is asking them to prove that they didn't break any laws? Is that standard protocol? Or are you guilty until proven innocent if you're a cop?
You're not supposed to be. And it's just a sad reality of the politics that we're, I think, serving in the city of Seattle. This is a clear violation of their United States constitutional civil rights. It's also a clear violation of Washington State Constitution in terms of their civil rights. It's also a violation of the city charter. It's also a violation of the SPOG collective bargaining agreement. I sound frustrated, but I don't even know if frustrated is the proper term. The accountability process here is absolutely going above the pale of what is reasonable. And when you violate people's just protected personal rights, this isn't accountability anymore. This is something activist led, if you will. It's stunning what is occurring.
Well, I've heard that they've been asked to turn over personal documents, text messages, pictures, receipts from hotels or restaurants so that they can prove that they were not inside the Capitol, even though there's no evidence to suggest that any of the 6 were. If they weren't, then they just went to a political rally like any other citizen is allowed to do. So, first of all, is that true that they're being asked to turn over personal documents, and aren't there legal protections against that demand?
Well, and that's what we're saying is a violation of their civil rights. I mean, just imagine that they even asked for their families' text messages relative to those timeframes they were there.
Under penalty of what? I mean, are they being told they're going to be fired if they don't?
Penalty of termination. So when we message, the final disciplinarian within a police department, such as the Seattle Police Department, is the chief of police.
Right.
He or she is the one that hands out an officer's discipline when there is an internal investigation, such as Office of Police Accountability. This became an order on behalf of the director of the Office of Police Accountability, who is a civilian. And we tried to verify that with the chief of police, Chief Diaz, and we never heard back. And the only thing we heard was that the director of Office of Police Accountability, per the charter, has the right to conduct their investigation in any manner that they see fit. They completely skirted our question whether or not this was a direct order with the threat of termination, and the only one that can enforce that is the chief of police.
Well, I know you wrote an email to your members, and you said that the 6 officers were ordered to answer personal protected political questions. So that's where we are now, as a city, as a region, that we have a political litmus test, and if you don't think the way the mob mandates, you can be fired from your job.
It's exactly the messaging that they're putting out there, at least the perception amongst officers. And on the heels of that order by a civilian that we deem as an unlawful order, this FAS email, a department entity, financial administrative services, who swing a big bat and control basically the maintenance and the upkeep of city buildings, particular police buildings, and the police fleet, painting us all as white supremacists. And so,
of course,
we also authored a letter there too to the various departments in the city that handle civil rights and human resources violations, and we've been in communication with some of them. But this is the type of environment that we think is a hostile work environment, and we're using the entities within the city and in the state to take corrective action with the powers that be to protect police officers. We're the only thing our entity is the only thing that's left. That's why the thin blue line exists.
You're what stands between our region and complete chaos and our anarchy. And so you say you're looking for somebody to understand that they're violating civil rights. But when you have a city council that has members who openly hate police, who stand idly by while a guy with a megaphone is telling cops to take out their gun and shoot themselves in the head, and they don't have any problem with that, but they have a problem with officers who might not think correctly according to their ideology. When you have a city council who can't stand the police, when you have this political correct ideology that says all cops are B-words and white supremacists, who do you go to protect your rights?
Well, hopefully you can go to the courts, and hopefully the rule of law still is in effect to protect police officers. And if we don't have that anymore, then to your point, who will be there to fill that void? I'm not sure. And I think this is part of their reset of the police department. And mind you, I've told your listeners before that a year ago, the mayor and the city council, at least the president of the city council, said that this agency was the modeled reformed agency.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
For others to emulate. Yep. And here we are, post-Floyd, and now apparently we're white supremacists, and our civil rights can be violated, and we've got close to 300 people now leaving. And I haven't heard a peep from the city council with our officer who just perished in the line of duty. And I'm trying to get flags lowered to half staff, and that is proving to be a battle. I'm not sure why.
Really? City Hall hasn't lowered the flags to half staff after it's been ruled a on-duty incident that took Lexi Harris's life? I didn't know.
Still hasn't happened. She unfortunately passed on Sunday morning, and what are we on, Wednesday? So I messaged the powers that be today, and they're still working on it. Hopefully that gets done. But in my view, it doesn't take long to throw an email out there in order, and people go out to the flagpole and just lower it half staff. So for your listeners, if you have a flag that is flying today, out of respect for this fantastic human being, this police officer. Please lower your flags at half-staff.
Got it.
And don't ever give up. Don't ever give up of supporting police.
Well, I'm amazed at your resilience and so many of your officers' resilience in face of all the crap that's thrown at police around here. All right, my brother, hang in there. Appreciate you coming on with me, Mike.
Yeah, and just real quick, Dori, we are setting up an account for the remembrance of Officer Lexi Harris. It is going to be called the Officer Lexi Harris Benevolent Account. Okay. You can find it at SeattlePoliceOfficers.com. Should be up and running by late afternoon today. And anybody that wants to donate at any local Boeing Employees Credit Union can do so. And the account name, again, is Officer Lexi Harris Benevolent Account. What a fantastic person she was.
Got it. All right, SeattlePoliceOfficers.com or any BECU. All right, Mike, hang in there. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks, brother.
Mike Solan, president of the Seattle Police Officers Guild. And we'll count down our favorite sound bites of the day next on the Dori Monson Show.